Okay.
We're here with amazing composer Marti Epstein, and Talea is going to be premiering a work of hers on March 20th in Brooklyn. And yeah, we just wanted to have a little conversation. Marti, I'm really fascinated with your process, having talked to you a little bit about it in the past. So your new piece is called Fugitive Color, which is an amazing title. Can you just talk a little bit about your process for composing the piece?
So the title comes from a conversation I had with my friend Jessica Gandolf, who's a visual artist. When I was at MacDowell in 2022, she was there, and that's where we met. And we were having a conversation, and she was explaining that some of the paints she had brought were fugitive colors. Mm-hmm. And so anytime I talk to a visual artist, I'm immediately going to, how does this translate musically? And fugitive colors...
Like your nails
yeah.
right now.
Fugitive colors are colors that once they're put on a canvas or on a similar surface, they start to change color or decay or somehow morph into something else. And I immediately started trying to imagine how that could happen musically. So that's where the title comes from. The piece itself is, I wanted to write a longer piece, but then I realized it had to fit in with other people's pieces. So it's about, I would say 17 to 19 minutes. And I imagine the time frame that the piece is going to take up as a kind of canvas. And I made a drawing, which I was actually going to bring today and show, but then I forgot. But I made a drawing of all of these colorful, blobby kinds of shapes. And in each iteration of them, they have changed slightly. Either one of the colored shapes has gotten bigger, or one of the colored shapes has gotten separated from the rest. And then there's a timestamp underneath. And so when I go to compose the piece, I'm basically making a musical transcription of this picture that I've drawn. Now, the picture that I've drawn comes from musical ideas that I already have, but there's definitely a back and forth between my visual imagination and my aural imagination.
Yeah, I mean, I can really hear colors in your music for sure. Do you have a background in visual art?
I don't have a background in visual art, but I sometimes feel like I'm a visual artist in my heart. Mm-hmm. I love painters. I was just at MacDowell again, and the people I was friendliest with were the painters. Mm-hmm. I would go to their studios and look at what they're doing and seeing all the trays and piles of paints and things and just feel jealous. But I don't, I mean, I paint. I have, if you've been to my apartment, which you have, there are paintings of mine on the wall, but they're things I like to look at, but they're not anything that anyone would determined to be painted by an actual visual artist. However, so the one thing that all of my MacDowell painter friends have said to me is that my calligraphy, my music notation, definitely has a strong connection to visual art. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm committed to writing my scores by hand.
And they're beautiful. I've played
thank
a lot
you.
of your music.
Fugitive Color obviously exists in computerized form because there are parts, and so anytime there are parts for a piece, I have a copyist who does that, and then he makes the score as well. But there is a version of it that exists in my handwriting. And I think that one of the reasons why I do that is because I am so committed to, the marriage of the visual and the oral.
Awesome.
Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. So we're friends.
Yes.
And I was just curious about when you were composing this piece, if you thought about past collaborations with other Talea members while you were working on the piece.
Mm-hmm. So the first person I thought about actually was Adrian, because about oh God, I think this was maybe 3 years ago.
Adrian Talea is the soon player.
Yeah, sorry.
Amazing executive director.
An amazing human being.
Yeah.
And many of our conversations actually turn into parenting conversations because I'm about 16 years beyond where Adrian is in the parenting process. But anyway, Radius commissioned a woodwind quintet for me, which turned into a woodwind sextet. That's another story. And Adrian was the bassoonist in it. And I do have to say I'm not 100% happy with that piece for a large variety of reasons. I wanted it to be a quintet, and then I didn't want it to be a sextet, but now it is. But anyway, so I think this may have been the first time Adrian played my music. And when he became Talea's director, I thought, I'm just going to see if maybe he might be interested in a piece for me. And he was very excited when I broached the subject. Actually, we're sitting right here in Berklee College of Music. Berklee paid the commission fee through a faculty development grant, so I think that's an interesting tie-in. But yeah, so there's Adrian and Adrian's beautiful sound and his good nature in supporting composers. I've worked with Steve Beck before. I hung out with Ben Pingland in Alba, Italy this summer, and he's played my music before, and you played my music before, but you sadly won't be at the concert. But it's that kind of vibe, I guess I could say, that I was thinking about, and I know that Talea is so serious about treating new music with every bit of integrity and care that anyone would treat any other music. So that was very much in my mind also.
Yeah, thank you. So you talked about some other pieces. I'm wondering what you've been working on lately besides this piece.
I just finished a piece for Transient Canvas, bass clarinet and marimba. This is my second piece for them. So I wrote a piece for them when they first started. And this is Amy Advocate, bass clarinet, and Matt Sherrick, marimba. And I've been working a lot with them through the high school composers intensive at Boston Conservatory. They play every year. And somehow this last year I was listening to them and I was thinking, I could write a better piece. I wonder if they'd be interested in another piece. And I broached the subject and they said, yes, absolutely. So it's a very different piece from my first one. It's like a big lavender cloud. And Amy came over to my house and played her favorite multiphonics, and I wrote them down and wrote down the fingerings and all that. So it's very much crafted towards that sound world that she created.
Yeah, I know you've written a lot for clarinet.
Yes.
And we even collaborated on an entire album of your clarinet music, which I think turned out
amazingly.
Is there a reason you're drawn to clarinet in particular?
So my dad was a saxophone player and a clarinetist. And when I was 10, he said, what instrument do you want to play next year in school? And I said, trumpet. And then for Hanukkah, I got a clarinet. And I think it's so he could give me lessons. But I fell so in love with the clarinet, like right away. I played it a long time. I would say I was decent at it. Sometimes I pick it up just for fun. Probably my arthritis in my right hand is too bad to actually hold it up for a long period of time, but I like playing it. I inherited all my dad's clarinets when he died. I feel like that instrument is sort of like, if I could sing, that's what I would want to sound like as a clarinet, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I have an affinity and I love it, for sure.
So we're sitting in a classroom at Berklee.
Yes, we are.
And you are a beloved Boston educator. I'm just curious how the semester is going.
Oh, wow.
What you've been working on with your students.
Well, the class that I will be teaching right after we finish is a class on the music of John Cage and Morton Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably one of my two favorite classes to teach at Berkeley, the other one being the music of Toru Takemitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And so I alternate every other year. I teach one and then I teach the other in the spring. And today is the day that their second composition projects are due. And their assignment was to incorporate prepared piano. So we have an upright piano in here, and I prepare it with little magnets, which doesn't sound like that. It's going to be interesting, but it's a very beautiful sound. And then they can bring found percussion, and they're supposed to incorporate some element of silence in space without rewriting 4 minutes and 33 seconds. But we talk a lot about Feldman in particular and how he completely changes, or his music completely changes our sense of chronological time, and how we can do that even in writing a shorter piece for a class assignment. So there's that, and I teach a music history class called Concert Music After 1945. Today we watched 8 Songs for a Mad King, and the students were like shell-shocked. I didn't prepare them for the violin incident, but
the smashed violin.
Yeah. But yeah, I teach counterpoint, I teach tonal harmony, not this semester, but I do in the fall. And everything's going fine. And then I teach private composition lessons at Boston Conservatory. And I feel like, I don't know if I can say that this is a COVID-related thing, because I feel like that's an easy thing to say anytime something is weird. Oh, well, it's COVID. But the students feel a little fragile and shell-shocked to me. And I don't know if it's the state of the world, or they all now went to high school or even middle school during COVID, and I don't know what it is. There's kind of like this shut-downness that a lot of them have. I do eventually break through to most of them, but I feel like it takes longer in the semester to crack through that veneer of, I'm just going to look at my phone all day where I'm safe, you know, which they're not safe looking at their phone all day. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're certainly lucky to have you as a teacher.
Oh, thank you.
I always think of you as the queen of Massachusetts Avenue when we walk down the streets. Hi, Professor Epstein. Anyway. So non-work related things, just fun stuff. What are you going to do when you're in New York?
Oh, that's a good question. So a lot of the people I was at McDowell with are from New York, live in New York. And so I'm hoping to get together with some or all of them at some point. I always make a trip to MoMA. I missed the Helen Frankenthaler exhibit, but that's okay. There's always stuff to look at that I love. And if I have time, I'll get to the Guggenheim. I don't know if I'll have time. But I also love to just wander around. I rarely take the subway if I can walk somewhere. So that's what I have so many friends who live there, and I'm hoping I can get them all to come to the concert, so they'll all be in one place at once. But before I go to New York for this, I'm going to Penn to give a talk to the grad composers. So I will be at UPenn right before I go to New York.
Fantastic. Well, we're so thrilled you wrote this piece.
Me too.
And I hope everybody comes out to see it.
Me too. It's going to be exciting.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.